Welcome to Whistleblowers in partnership with Wix Trade Pro. Okay, welcome Whistleblowers.
Welcome to the circus.
As is tradition, I'm Gordon Smart and I'm joined as always by the one and only Mark Clattenburg. We've got the bulldog of Fleet Street, the tough guy from the northwest. It is the one and only Ian Ladyman, and we've got part-time Scott Parker, lookalike. It's Rory Jennings.
Nicest thing anyone's ever said about me.
We do this backhanded compliments. My wee pal Martin Compston, somebody once said to him, you know, if you were a foot taller, you'd be a great James Bond. Have you ever had a good backhanded compliment, Mark?
No, not for the podcast.
No, he's got lots of whistles, we've learned. Mm-hmm. Right, we've got an interesting show lined up for you today, but you can be the judge of that. We will be answering one of your questions, introducing a brand new feature, and revealing the results of the poll we put out, where we asked about our all-time greatest starting 11 and manager, who will reign supreme. But Tom asks, to start off, it seems that nowadays managers and coaches would much rather buy a bunch of new players than make the best of what they've got. Maybe I'm going mad, but isn't a coach's job to coach players, or is that no longer part of the job description? That's a great question, Tom. I think he's got a fantastic point. Rory, I mean, again, you're a Chelsea fan, right? So you're old enough to have seen a few iterations of a team where managers have taken players and made them better.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it when there's a story where that's clearly happened. And do you know who deserves a lot of credit here, as an example to use? Arne Slot. He went into Liverpool, barely made a signing, and then it looked like they had major problems in the midfield, didn't it? And he basically coached his way out of the problem. He redefined Ryan Gravenberch. He made Ryan Gravenberch the new signing. Yeah. And it's great when you see that. It's the point of a good manager to sort of elevate and improve the existing squad. Mm-hmm. I think it is nice to see, but it is a dying art.
Does it go beyond football here? You know, if there's a good manager in any workplace and they see some talent with encouragement, development, nourishment, they can bring the best out of you. Ian Ladyman, former back page writer of the Daily Mail.
Yeah, nobody ever did it to me. But yeah, I absolutely. I'm now sitting here scratching my head thinking of other examples. I suppose even, you know, you go back to Slot's predecessor, Jurgen Klopp, made players better, made Jordan Henderson better, for example. Guardiola gets a lot of stick these days. It seems to be fashionable these days to give Guardiola stick. Yeah. Reinvented Sergio Aguero. Aguero, when Guardiola arrived, played in a certain way, essentially as a kind of out-and-out striker. Guardiola doesn't like that type of player. He wanted to come deep, work harder. Sergio didn't want to do it. Almost went to Chelsea. Khaldoon, the Al Mubarak, the City chairman, had to persuade him to stay. And eventually Aguero came around to Guardiola's way of thinking, and they got 2 or 3 more years out of him. You look at managers also who kind of redefine.
We look at Eddie Howe.
Yeah.
Joelinton.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Great
Brilliant.
example.
There's
Brilliant
another
example.
great example.
Great example.
Yeah. Like
where
Joelinton
came and he was a £40 million striker who couldn't hit the goal.
Yeah.
And he's redefined him in a new role in midfield, and he's probably one of the best midfielders in the Premier League.
It's also about, you touched on it there, Gordon, it's about managing people as well, and understanding that all players are different. I think that's where some modern managers fall down. Because I think some of them don't, maybe they lack the confidence in terms of confidence in being given time. Yeah. I think that's one of the things that's against all managers. People sometimes say to me, when you go to interview a footballer, what's your one thing that you want when he goes to sit down with football? I always say the same thing: time. If you get time, you'll get something. Yeah. But these days, there's always someone saying, "Oh, that's it, 20 minutes." Or And I think it's the same with football managers. If all football managers knew that their contracts were worth something and they were gonna get,
how about?
But they don't.
Let me put to you.
So the clock, I think, the clock's always ticking in their minds, and that I think makes them look for ready-made fixes rather than.
But also
Claudio Ranieri then at Leicester. Claudio Ranieri at Leicester.
Yeah,
one season wonder really, wasn't it? But was that man management, do you think, or was it just the stars aligning?
Incredible combination of circumstances.
A lot of
a season when other teams fell away.
Yeah.
Lack of injuries, blah 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 blah.
But Ian makes
Mahrez, Kante, it was incredible recruitment, wasn't it?
But Ian makes a massive point about time. Yeah. Because if this question, it's a good question. But if you're a coach or a manager and you've only got maybe 1 year, or you go into a club, for example, you've stockpiled or you've got players who might not play your system. So what are you going to do? Bring another bunch of your own style of players in. You might last a year. You've already got them players on 3-year contracts. Next manager comes in.
Do you believe that though? Do you think that, these really good footballers, and then people go, well, they can't play that particular system? I just don't understand. Like, I don't know. Say Ruben Amorim, Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes, one of the most talented players in the league. He's certainly, in my opinion at least, the best player at Manchester United. People go, I don't think he can play the Ruben Amorim system. Like, what are you on about? Like, he's an amazing footballer. Surely,
how do you manage him?
The only thing I would say that
managing that personality, isn't it? It's a skill.
The only side I would say against that is if, say, a team was high pressing. Some players can't. They haven't got the energy levels.
Yeah,
that would, if I'm for example, I'm high pressing and you've got like a midfielder who's quite stationary and stuff. I get that argument, but you're right about Bruno Fernandes. He could play any system.
Yeah.
Is that good?
So let's go back to a subject, a manager we talked about on the last podcast, Graham Potter, West Ham. Okay, Graham Potter now probably if he looks at that squad now and thinks, right, so there's 2 kids there, well, there's 2 young players there. Definitely give me 6 months on the training ground with those 2, and they'll be coming through into my first team. Or does he think, got this guy that bought up front, Fulkrug, played in the Champions League final, German international, they paid a lot of money for him. Maybe I should just try and get, he's not the type of player I've ever really wanted before, big number 9, didn't have one at Brighton. But you know what? Might just try and get a tune out of him because he might win me with the next 4 games.
I think,
which way are you going to go in the modern world?
I think
could be an injury that they brought in. And
I think Russell Martin's thinking at Rangers right now, Gordon.
Help.
Panic.
Do you thinking, it's okay, I'll get a year here?
Have another defender?
You think if I get to November, I'm lucky?
It does make you think, though, in the context of the coach and the connection with the club, how important that is. So if you take, for example, I don't know, somebody like Frank Lampard when he was at Chelsea, he understood the youth system and the players that were coming through. I know I always go back to it, but the way he introduced Billy Gilmore, man of the match in his FA Cup debut, man of the match in his Champions League debut. What about England, right? Look at Gareth Southgate. He knew that generation of players coming through so well that he had a loyalty to him. He had a man management style, didn't he, that got that performance from some of those boys.
Although that taps into what you just said. I think Gareth Southgate had the time. Gareth Southgate effectively wrote off that first tournament, didn't he? Which was the Russia one. I don't think that was on the agenda at all. He had a gimme one, and therefore he could blood in the youngsters. Like it would be foolhardy for Graham Potter to start trying to nurture the talent at West Ham because he won't be in the job to see it come to fruition.
Sure. He did it at Brighton, didn't he? He had an understanding
time
of the
at
club,
Brighton.
didn't he? Yeah, he had the time.
Because if Graham Potter does that at West Ham now, nurtures young players, chances are he's just building a platform for the next bloke.
Yeah.
See, this is the thing, isn't it? When you look at the current crop of managers, that's why I think Eddie Howe's outstanding. Because I think he's so, isn't he, well prepared and diligent. He'll understand who's coming through and do a brilliant job there.
It's not just about coaching, but is it man management?
Management, yeah.
There's some coaches are brilliant maybe on the training ground, but they're lacking man management. Eddie's man management second to none. The way he brings the team spirit. Like, for example, Isaac's statement yesterday, what does Bruno, the captain, do? Immediately Instagram. It looks, because he wants that togetherness. He wants, let's stay together as a group. If one player wants to be out, leave him out. That's what I love about a manager. He's got the players thinking the same as him.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right, by the way. The Joelinton example is a great example. Well, sticking with Newcastle and Eddie, obviously done a very, very good job. But he's also built a team around players that he's bought.
Yeah,
I'm not going to list them all, but I can, and there's quite a lot of them.
But
they spent quite a bit of money before the Saudis woke up one morning and realised that PSR existed. They spent a lot of money on that.
But he's got a tune out of players who were probably on the last legs. Fabian Shearer, for example.
Yeah, Dan Burn.
Dan Burn was a good footballer at Brighton. Yeah. And he wanted to come home. That was the tie. Dan Burn wasn't a bad player. But Fabian Shearer was leaving. He wasn't in the team. And now he's a regular
Eddie
starter.
moved fast, quickly, with the help of quite a bit of money. Let's be fair about it.
Best man manager in the league, Ian Ladyman.
Right now?
Yep. Premier League.
Oh, blimey.
Good question.
It's a really, really good question. I mean, look, it's hard to choose any. Okay, I think Arteta's good at it. Actually, I think Arteta is good at it. He did very well with someone like Kai Havertz, for example, who looked like he'd forgotten how to play football when he arrived from Chelsea, with all the pressure with that kind of switch brings. I think he's managed people like Saka very well. I think he managed his goalkeeping situation very well in the end. So I think Arteta would be a shout.
Rory, for you?
I like the old school. I wonder if it's somebody like David Moyes. I like the way Thomas Frank approaches it. I know that the obvious answer is probably Guardiola because he's probably the best at everything in the league. But I do think that there's something about the way that David Moyes, particularly at West Ham and that original spell at Everton, they really did seem to have a unity and a team spirit.
Mm-hmm. Mark?
I'm going to sit on the fence. There's that many, isn't there? It's like, I think it's managers in the Premier League are unique. To be able to manage the egos, everything that goes on in a football club and manage it. They've all got certain skills. For sure, some are better than others, but they've got the time, they've got the money. So I think sometimes the ones that are near the bottom, that are fighting for their lives, that they're the ones that earn the core more because the pressures are so big.
But I think special mention for Glasner. I hear great things about him.
And I think Thomas Frank's a really good shout.
Yeah, what about my prediction for Spurs for 5th in the league, boys? You all turned your noses up.
No, I laughed.
What do you reckon?
No, I'm not
Still laughing.
No.
We are
Still laughing. This could be a moment for me. Thomas Frank.
Steady on, one game in. One home win against Burnley.
Excellent. That's all I need. That's all I need. Right, if you want to get involved, you can email whistleblowers@dailymail.com. Social accounts on X @BlowersPod, TikTok @WhistleBlowersPodcast, Instagram @WhistleBlowersPod. Now we're going to start a new section, Football from the Inside Out. Each week one of us will be in the hot seat and asked a question by another member of this fine panel in the room. We'll have a wee natter about it, see where it takes us. And Mark, you're going to go first with this, right?
Thanks very much.
And I've come up with a question for you because, I'm fascinated by, you know what it smells like in the Sistine Chapel. You know what it's like when the Algex is filling your lungs and the wintergreen's in that. I suppose it's probably not that, is it? It's probably like
bubble bath.
Sauvage. Bubble bath. So I want to know, right, my question for you is, what's the most memorable interaction you've had in the tunnel? Because we've all seen it on the telly. You know, you've reported on countless moments, Ian, and Rory, you've seen some spectacular Chelsea moments in that tunnel. But for you, Mark, what's the biggest moment for you in the tunnel?
One of the most memorable was it got quite a bit of media, certainly social media side of it, and it was FA Cup final 2016. And as I'm coming in after me warm-up, warm up. So I've come back in around about, 15, 20 minutes before kick-off. And in the tunnel, at the end of the tunnel, was Sir Alex, Steve Coppell, Alan Pardew. Alan Pardew was the Crystal Palace manager. And we shook hands with Alan Pardew, wished him the best. Steve Coppell says, good luck. And Sir Alex, as typical Sir Alex was, in his jokeable mood, he shakes me hand and he says, Mark, good luck. Let the best team win. And everybody was laughing and joking on. And he goes into his pocket and tries and pulls out an envelope to give us it as a joke. And as he's giving, I'm like, you can't do that because BBC cameras are like right on us. And I'm like, oh, this is more than, you know what people are like? It's a joke. But you know what people are going to do? They're going to start making accusations. And Sir Alex was always like, it was a joke. And all the coaches knew that. So Alan Pardew, quick as a flash, turned around and goes to Sir Alex, you've been doing that for years, so why are you making a difference now? And it was just as a joke. And everybody started to laugh. And the cameras were picked up on it, and everybody on social media saying, you were having a laugh with Sir Alex Ferguson. That's why Crystal Palace got beat, blah, de blah. But that was one of the most memorable ones. That can be so innocent, but it's just brought out in the heat of the moment.
Did it make you uncomfortable that cameras were allowed inside or not?
No, listen, if you can't be human. No, because if you can't be human, then that's me out. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to be a referee anymore. If you can't have a laugh, you can't have a sense of humour. What do you want to be? Like stereotypical, referee that you can't do this, you can't do that. For me, why can you not have a laugh? Why can you not have that enjoyment? That when my best times as a referee was when I was happy, when I was enjoying it. When I wasn't enjoying it, I used to snap at decisions, get them wrong because I was trying to be too precise. When I was like laughing and joking with the players were more relaxed with us. But they knew for example, when I was more experienced, if I'd had problems, players would come to me, what's your problem today? Because I was edgy. Maybe I'd had problems with the missus. Maybe I hadn't slept properly or whatever. They could pick up on it because I would be like joking. And one of the best things as a referee was to be able to calm players down, especially in big matches. I remember going out and it was the 25th year of the anniversary of Hillsborough. And it was Liverpool, Manchester City. And that game, was it 250-16?
Yeah.
It was so critical because Liverpool were going for the title. And that that game was the players were so edgy. Both teams were so edgy. But of me, my personality, trying to bring down barriers by having a joke and having some at the right time, helped the game. If I'm going in edgy and worrying about the cameras all the time, then the players would get edgy as well, and I wouldn't get the results.
One of the best tunnel bust-up stories that we wrote, everybody wrote it. It was not one that we didn't see it, but it was. You may tell me you were refereeing the game, Mark. It was a Man United game. Might have been a Manchester derby, but I'm not sure. And anyway, it's kin the kind of Wayne Rooney, kind of Ronaldo kind of era, and it's kicked off during the game. I can't remember what's happened, but Rooney has gone down the tunnel at full time in an absolute rage about something. And as we're watching Rooney go down that tunnel in the corner at Old Trafford, and I'm going to have to move this microphone a bit to do the actions, as he disappears down the tunnel, there's two ball boys, little kids, who are standing at the mouth of the tunnel so they can see right down the tunnel, and they're watching. All of a sudden they both start doing this, and I'm going to have to describe it for people who are listening and not watching. They both start doing this, like shadow boxing to each other, as if to say, yeah, they're fighting. So we're sitting in the press box thinking it's kicked off in the tunnel. Look at the two ball boys kind of shadow boxing with each other. And of course it only took a couple of phone calls, and it had gone, and because it was Rooney, he was probably England captain at the time. I think it ultimately emerged, actually, I think he'd been the peacemaker, actually. In fact, he was. It turned out to be a slightly different story than we thought. But yeah, the two ball boys doing the Rocky Balboa Apollo Creed impression by the corner flag gave it away.
I've always loved those moments in the tunnel. Do you know one that I really loved? Do you remember when Gary Neville and Phil Neville were lining up for Everton Manchester United, and Gary wouldn't talk, they wouldn't acknowledge each other?
Yeah.
I'm so bored of like this friendly, you know, like swapping shirts at half time against like Chelsea swapping shirts with Tottenham players or whatever else.
No.
Like, what is going on?
I'm with you.
I loved Gary Neville's approach. He wouldn't talk to Schmeichel that time.
That one, I was going to say, Schmeichel tried to do it when he was goalkeeper for City, didn't he?
Talk to
Gary wasn't having it.
Liverpool, I said this a few times, Liverpool, Manchester United, that era when England were having trouble. You know, Liverpool and Manchester United players wouldn't even speak to each other in the tunnel. Gerrard and Rooney, even with the team sheet exchange,
really,
they wouldn't speak.
Happened with England as well, didn't it? To Chelsea, I think round about 08, the Chelsea players that were in the England setup, and the Manchester United players.
I got a great one on social media the other day, actually, and it was when Roy Keane took the team out before he was supposed to. Do you remember that?
Yeah, and he just went, and Wolves, because they were waiting for Paul Ince.
Yes, it was Paul Ince.
Paul Ince wanted to do his thing where he comes out
with the top.
Yeah, he was keeping the Manchester United team waiting in the tunnel at Molineux.
To be the last one top on.
One of the best tunnels I've seen was Birmingham Villa, and the tunnel was rocking.
The plastic tunnel.
I'm fourth official, and there's just punches getting thrown. And I get into the dressing room because I think Mike Riley was a referee. He's gone into the dressing room, and I'm like white as a sheet. I'm thinking, what have I saw? I comes in, the policeman goes to us, he goes, did you say anything? I saw nothing. I saw nothing.
I'll tell you back to a bygone era, right? And I hope I tell the story correctly, because my father-in-law, Jim Leishman, right? He was captain, I think, of Scotland under-21s, and they were playing Republic of Ireland, and David O'Leary was captain of the Republic of Ireland. And Jim had said to the boys, this guy thinks he's the big time. He's an Arsenal star. So he thinks he's coming here and he's going to roll us over. And he said to one of the boys he'd grown up with in the team, he said, so when you get a chance, sort him out. So they got into the tunnel, he's gone across and stuck the head on David O'Leary. And he was like, I meant on the pitch.
Yeah, not that.
maybe a bit of subtlety next time.
It's like a real Begbie moment.
As you mentioned tunnels, and obviously the way as we move forward in time, there's more and more new stadia, for example, and obviously Roy, you're lucky enough to still go to an old one at Stamford Bridge, but I'm going to Everton on we're recording this. So I always forget that this show's recorded before a week in advance. So, I will have been to Everton by the time people listen to this for the first time in new stadium. But I did a big piece last year on the farewell to Goodison Park. It was ahead of the last Merseyside derby at Goodison, and I thought, what's the best way to get a flavour of what Goodison Park's actually like? I thought, I'll go and do the stadium tour. So I rocked up, paid my 17 quid, whatever it was, did the stadium tour. Absolutely fascinated, by the way. Absolutely fascinating. One of the things that struck me, that tunnel, Mark, at Goodison Park, it's about as wide as this armchair, right? And a lot of the old, and then you go down it, and then there's a right hand 90-degree bend. How on earth do two teams of 22 and more athletes after a game with adrenaline pumping get down that tunnel and into their dressing rooms without having a fight every week.
It was
because you
incredible.
literally would be.
They're all great, those stadiums, aren't they? The Archibald Leach Stadiums, Goodison Park, Craven Cottage, Ibrox, Villa Park. Oh, brilliant.
Now you get the stadiums. Is it Berlin where you get the escalator down? Is it Munich? Is it Berlin or Munich?
Yeah.
One of the German stadiums, you actually get an escalator.
Now, if you had an escalator in an English stadium, they just break down. They break down every other
I remember
Saturday.
when I
wouldn't they?
first went to the Emirates, and I thought this football was never going to be the same again because I got an escalator.
Yeah.
I just
thought that at Wembley, the new Wembley. The first time I went to the new Wembley, it was on an escalator.
Yeah, the old Wembley, when it's rivers of piss.
But imagine you're going from the dressing rooms down to the pitch.
Yeah.
And you're
When
going
they,
down. It's weird.
When they opened the tunnel club at Man City.
That's amazing.
Right. So
A lot of rubbish.
I actually wrote, it was probably last story I wrote. Last story I broke. I actually wrote the story about the fact they were doing this. It was the first club in England to do it, wasn't it? So essentially, where you get the posh seats behind the dugouts, and then you get to further down after the game, you stand behind a glass partition and see the players coming down the tunnel. Right. And so I wrote the story, and I had good relations with people at City at the time. They didn't care that I'd broken the story, and they invited me to the first game that it was going to be used, and it was against Everton.
Is a supporter, by the way?
Huh?
As a supporter.
If you think that's my team, you really are wrong. I'm quite happy to deny that.
That's one down.
I might live 4
That's
miles
one
away.
down. It's reverse.
Yeah.
I might live 4 miles away from the ground, but it's not my team.
I think you gave us the answer there by accident.
Yeah.
It couldn't be further from the...
I really haven't.
Right,
So I was invited, and it's a Wayne Rooney story again. They were playing Everton at first game of the season. It was a night game. So I'm sitting. So I had my posh meal beforehand, very nice. Sat in the posh seats, thinking this is fine. Anyway, Rooney gets sent off. Rooney gets sent off playing for Everton. Might have been for a second yellow. I don't think it was for a violent offence, but Wayne Rooney gets sent off.
Wasn't me then.
So he's walking down the tunnel. So of course my instincts just kick in, don't they? So I leg it. from the pot. I'm thinking, he's going down the tunnel. I can see in the tunnel. I'm in the tunnel club. I can see in the tunnel. What if he headbutts the wall?
Yeah.
So I'm legging it down. And all these stewards are going, where's he going? And of course we got there and really didn't do anything. He just looked.
Might have done.
Why could he not have a bit of paper up saying, how do you feel?
I'm like, wait,
I did the Midnight Express thing with the glass wall.
But all the other kind of posh people in the posh seats, why is that bloke just sprinting down, sprinting for the exit?
Sprinting or jogging?
Well, it's the same for me.
Great tunnel moments, though, yeah. And I think Roy Keane was at the heart of most of them, wasn't he? He was brilliant at it. Absolutely
The
brilliant.
Vieira one was good.
That's
the
the
Vieira.
one, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's sensational.
That's the
Graham
one.
Paul was a ref, yeah.
Right, we've got this wonderful table that has been crafted. It's been carefully put together over the past 12 weeks or so, and it's now time to put the finishing touch, which is a signature. Now, Rory, we're going to bestow you with the honour. The first celebrity signature. I'm building you up here. The first name to be attached to our table, alongside James Nelson Joyce, Terry Butcher, some great guests we've had.
See, I'm not
S.
this
Parker.
is- I'm doing this
sign it.
under
S. Parker.
Go on, Roy.
Have you ever been seen in the same room as Scott Parker?
While you're doing it, Roy, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to stick with that theme. What do you, as a kind of regular Chelsea punter, what do you make of all that kind of tunnel club kind of stuff?
I hate it.
Do you?
I absolutely hate
And forgive me,
everything.
I should know this. Have they got one at Chelsea?
Yeah, of course we do.
Right,
Of course
and
we do. Anything to
Have
squeeze
you
a
got one
few
at
extra
CFC LDN?
LDN.
Have you got any mates who've been squeezed
That is
or?
officially signed. No, do you know what? There was something really hateful and troubling that went round quite recently. A 10 grand seat for one game, where you basically sit not quite, but next to Enzo Maresca.
Almost on the bench.
Yeah.
Wow.
10 grand.
seat.
As a one-off?
10 grand as one-off. Yeah, not season ticket.
No, what I mean is they're doing that for every game. Or is
No,
it-
they seem to do it. They seem to do it as and when. So when Chelsea played Manchester United towards the end of last season, you could do it then, and then it was 5 grand to sit behind the Manchester United.
So a 10 grand seat,
Yeah, true.
or a 5 grand seat, or the priceless Rory Jennings,
Nobody
aka
wants that.
S.
That's
Parker.
worth more.
So yeah, can you see that there? There we go.
Especially on your credit card signature.
needs that.
Yeah.
I'll be
check
bidding
check
for
your
this table,
statement.
just
That's
out.
it. I've also cloned your credit card in your pocket. Our Chelsea fans have got loads of credit.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Sorry.
Yeah, that's what it's
Before we finish, Gordon, can I tell a nice story about a football person?
That'd
Make
be
it quick.
It will be quick.
I've got my
go
train.
for it. Go for it.
I've got it because I've got a train.
I'm just trying to make you miss your train. Okay, last weekend, Old Trafford, United have lost at home to Arsenal. When you come out of Old Trafford and you're going round to get back to the car park, if you go at the wrong time, you've got to wait behind a barrier because it's when all the players are coming out to their cars, and you can get stuck in a bit of a queue, and it can be quite annoying when you just want to get home. That happened. It happened because Sesko and Amarim are doing a lot of autographs and selfies, as it now is, right? So I'm waiting in this big queue. And patiently, and a few people are getting aggy, but on the whole, and all of a sudden, some guy, there's a bit of aggro behind, and some guy comes bustling through. Okay, and he's a security guy, and he knocks two guys out the way to get to this barrier, opens the barrier, and he has a pass, goes through, and I'm like, I'm thinking, I'm not having this. So I'm saying, mate, I said you can't do that. What? I haven't done anything. I said, yes, you did. I said you pushed that bloke there, and you cannot do that. Do not behave like that. It's kind of going off a little bit, a bit of back and forth. Next minute, there's a tap on my shoulder. I turn around, and it's the Sky crew. So it's Dave Jones, the presenter at Sky, is a really, really lovely lad.
Ex-teammate of mine.
And Daniel Sturridge. So essentially, this guy, this loon who'd been pushing people around, was doing it. He thought he had the right to do it to get. And Daniel, to be fair to him, realised what had gone on. Yeah. And he didn't have to apologise to me. I wasn't the one who'd been shoved in the back. It was this old fella next to me. Daniel, who I've never met before, does not know me, just said to me, he said, I'm really, really sorry about that. He said, that shouldn't have happened. He said, that's unacceptable.
Daniel Sturridge.
And you know what? I just said, thanks, Daniel, thank you very much.
Did he just get through the crowd going like that?
Yeah. And of course, the idiot then took his cue from that, and he then apologised as well. So there you go.
I work with him at Amazon, top bloke.
Football is behaving nicely.
Yeah,
maybe that's a new section. Yeah, football is behaving nicely.
Top bloke.
Scott Parker, what about you? Right, last week we rounded off our all-time 11 segment, adding in our ideal managers for good measure. We put this out on social media for everyone to give us their thoughts on who had the best team. So before we get into it, Ian, are you confident about your team? Very interesting combination.
About my team, always, yeah, absolutely.
Mark, you confident?
Well, I'm not happy with his because he changed the goalpost, didn't he? He went 5, 6, 7, 9, whatever.
4-2-3-1.
Whatever formation he wanted.
4-2-3-1, right? So
unfounded allegation.
As a recap, right, here are everyone's final team. So Mark, 4-4-2, Schmeichel, Kyle Walker, Vincent Kompany, Pepe, Maldini, that's the back. Figo, Patrick Vieira, Iniesta, Ronaldo is his four-man midfield. And then Pele, and then C9 up front. The fat Ronaldo. I just want to call him that. I've got to call him that, haven't I?
He's not going to sue you.
In the dugout, Sir Alex Ferguson there. Can't believe he didn't go for Bobby Robson. Ian, 4-2-3-1. Buffon and goal. Phil Neal and Nemanja Vidic, Alan Hansen and Ashley Cole. That's your defensive line. Then your defensive midfielders, Busquets and Roy Keane. Then you've crowbarred Kenny Dalglish on the right. Gaza's playing at number 10. And then the centre of your attacking midfield, Cristiano Ronaldo, who will be just playing behind your striker, Alan Shearer.
No. Ronaldo's on the left side.
Sorry.
Ronaldo's on the left side. Shearer's playing up front on his own.
And you've gone for the 26th greatest manager on the planet, according to the French poll, Bob Paisley.
Extraordinary.
Right, okay. Yeah. I've gone for a 4-4-2 with a bit of a left field selection in goals in Neville Southall. Cafu, Paolo Maldini, Franco Baresi and Andy Robertson in defence. David Beckham, Zinedine Zidane, Graham Souness and Diego Maradona on the left. And then up front, Lionel Messi and Fat Ronaldo. And Jock Stein is the manager of my team, just to keep a Scottish flavour there. So Rory, who would you back to win in Le Tournoi between those three teams?
Oh, I get the deciding vote. I think I'm going with Ian's side here. I think I'm going with Ian's side. You had Kyle Walker at right back. I like Kyle. Right.
Yeah. There's a
greatest of all time right back feels generous to me.
Yeah, there was a few, wasn't it? But I'm looking at I was trying to manage me.
Yeah.
And I wanted speed down the right.
Yeah, the only thing that I think you did, I think you were slightly cowardly with your forward line because you played Kenny Dalglish out of position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say.
I don't know if I should.
You can never play Kenny Dalglish out of position.
But you could argue.
You just fill
You have
holes.
to make the decision. You're a manager. You have to make the big decision, and you haven't made the big call.
That is the big decision.
The big call.
I need him in the team.
The big call is Kenny or Shearer. You've accommodated them both.
The call for me is that you can't. I would flip it and say you can't play Kenny Dalglish out of position because he can play any position. It's impossible to play Kenny Dalglish out of position.
My question is, can Alan Shearer keep up with play with Cristiano Ronaldo?
Wouldn't need to, mate. Let's just stand on the penalty spot. He'll be fine.
Fag on.
Do you rate Alan Shearer? That's quite an uncommon opinion.
Last week, without going into explanation again, I kind of tried to look at that team. And given that there's so much ridiculous amount of creativity in that particular team, that all it needs is a bloke to stand in the box and he was just good as anybody.
So
I've
why
ever
didn't you
seen
go for
doing
Tino
that bit.
Asprilla then, the greatest ever Newcastle striker?
Hat-trick against Barcelona.
Unbelievable.
At St James's
Do you think
Park.
he's not-
No. I think Shearer's an icon.
But generally, do you
Absolutely
think
great.
he's not rated?
I think that he gets cruelly overlooked when we talk about it's quite refreshing to hear. I'm glad that you said it.
I wonder if
could
that's
score
because he
from
didn't
anywhere,
win
can't he?
domestically.
Yeah, I think it's a problem.
thing is with Shearer, good in the air, can score from outside the box, scores in the box,
Penalties, free kicks.
granite, penalties, free kicks, everything.
Captain.
Good player. Sadly though, English, although not bad because he's a Geordie.
I refereed his last match against Celtic in his testimonial, and then the script was, because he was injured, he has to shoot to the right, the goalkeeper has to dive to the left to make sure he scores. And he said to us, Mark, what happens if I miss? I says, we'll be here all night.
Bit of a Diana Ross moment.
Right, so here we go. We asked the followers on Instagram for their thoughts, and the results are in third place with 23% of the vote. Smart Clattenburg.
You know what? You don't know what you're doing. How many times do I hear
don't
that?
know what you're doing.
You don't
Done
know
well
what
to come third there with that team.
In second place with 29% of the vote, Ian Ladyman.
Oh, for sake.
And proving that a social media following will bend every poll.
You know what it is? It's all the Scottish votes.
Yeah.
And parents who like you.
All the
Like the
Scottish
moment
votes.
Michelle McManus won X Factor with a whopping 48% of the vote. I'm no longer the B-Tech of anyone. I'm no longer the YTS. I'm the winner of something, the all-time 11. Yes!
Does it add up to 100 this time?
Did you win the...
Never
But you
does.
recently won the quiz as well.
Oh, you battered me
So
in the
that's
quiz.
not the first thing you've won.
Second thing I won, yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
there's some...
Battered me in the
Harvard.
quiz.
I think, Ian, now you need to be replaced as the quiz...
You need to start.
Well, I refused to
you got
do
me
the second
5.
week
Was it
of the quiz.
5-0? Was it 5-0?
Yeah,
It was a whitewash,
Well,
wasn't
you
it?
should know. You were the ref.
I couldn't say anything.
I haven't been this happy since I won Kilmarnock's Colts Player of the Year 1991.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great moment. Thank you
Your
very
mates
much.
voted for that one as well.
They did.
The only trophy he's got.
I've got, do you want to have worked with a football journalist who used to say, look at my glass. All these glass awards.
Well, that's something I won't be saying.
A humble
at my
reporter.
glass.
Right, we'll be back on Thursday. Thanks, Rory. Great to see you.
Nice.
pal.
Yeah, well done, Roy.
Brilliant to have you. We'll be back on Thursday for the next instalment of Whistleblowers. Until then, give us a follow on socials. Mark Clattenburg. Without his whistle, you've got one job.
Paolo.
If you want to watch more episodes of Whistleblowers, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'll keep you up to date all the way through the summer with everything that's happening in the world of football.